Welcome to the Gen Z Journey, where we work with you through an entrepreneurial lens to build a wholesome perspective on life and build both our business and personal dreams together. Join our community on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Gen Z Journey. Okay, and I'm testing. Yeah, I'm recording. Okay, excellent. Okay, we're ready? Awesome. So, hello and welcome to another Gen Z Journey podcast. You're back with us today. We're going to have a little chinwag about the opportunity costs of becoming an entrepreneur or going down that entrepreneurship path. I'm super excited about this podcast. We haven't recorded for a couple of days, which is nice because it gives me time to edit, but also I love doing these podcasts. I love recording them. So I'm so glad we're back ready to record for this week's episode. And like I said, it's on the article. It's on the topic of opportunity costs of becoming an entrepreneur, and Aaron wrote the article, so I'm super excited just to jump into things. Joe is very excited as well. I can tell he's ready and raring to go on this topic. He's very, very passionate about this subject.
And if you notice, Joe giggled about our new branding, the chinwags.
I'm going to so struggle saying that. I'm just letting you guys in, going, you caught me, Aaron.
Oh, brilliant. So let's dive straight into things then. I'm excited to see what content comes from today. So, Aaron, the first question I'm going to put to you, as always, is what were your intentions behind this article and the title of it?
Yeah, I think the main concept and the main reason I made this article was to really kind of bring that awareness and be able to define what an opportunity cost is. And how it kind of affects your life as an entrepreneur. And that's just mainly because I've started to, do my own ventures with the Gen Z Journey here and doing my ventures with that web development and marketing agency I'm working on creating. And with those kind of happening and me graduating and everything, I've started to realize that, every time I take one chance or one decision, I have to drop others. And it's always important to focus on what that opportunity cost is. And if you're not aware of it, you can often kind of bring yourself to take on too much or do too much because you think you can take everything and have no opportunity cost and not give things up. And that can become very, very detrimental to yourself if you don't know how to define that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And I think I really like kind of how you approach this, and this is the definition of opportunity cost. But when people think about opportunity cost, they often think about finances, of money, but actually it's kind of totally the opposite. There's a huge there's a lot to do with opportunity cost. It's just in your daily life. And so I was going to ask you that, Aaron, is you do define it in the article, but what is the actual definition of opportunity costs for people?
Yeah. So the opportunity cost is essentially the risk and reward between your decision making. And so when you take one decision, you have to essentially give up other decisions. When you choose one thing, there's something else that you have to give up in order to accept that one decision. And so it's very important to know what you're giving up when you take on a certain decision and a certain choice in your life, and how to weigh them.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's from anything and everything, just choosing to go and eat lunch out in the afternoon, the cost of your time, the money to get there, the gas, all of those different things is the things that you're giving up to do that thing. I mean, me and Joe like to go and get sushi sometimes, so we give up our time and the money and everything to do that as part of that opportunity cost. So that's a little example of that. Joe, do you have any more examples of opportunity costs? And
you know what, you hit it on the head there, because really what here we go again.
He was careful that time.
Where's the meme?
Here's the meme, Aaron.
You hit the nail on the hammer. Really, because what it becomes is a lifestyle. You're right. There's a trade for back and forth, good decisions, and it helps you in either corporate world or going into entrepreneur world because you're making decisions daily. And yes, you're absolutely right. It's a give and take. You have to prioritize them. We had just talked about it the other day. The Everybody has a to-do list. We have a not to-do list, and that will help balance it. And again, the cost of it, yes, you have to weigh it out. Absolutely. So
Yeah, and the best way to put that into words is you wanna look at the pleasure of what making one decision it gives versus the pain that it gives, and so when you weigh those out, you really understand what you want, and ultimately you want to pursue those things that are more pleasurable, even if they don't make more monetary financial understanding than others, because you always want to just do what's right for you, and what brings stability to your life.
that's why three of us are so happy.
Definitely.
I love this topic so much because opportunity cost for me is just a gateway onto so much more like kind of self discovery. Asking we talk about it sometimes about asking just those questions that are bigger than yourself of like what's your life purpose and where do you find value and all of it. We ask those questions quite a lot, and they're gateways to a lot of self-discovery. But I find just learning about opportunity cost is also another gateway, because like Aaron just spoke about, you learn what brings you pleasure and then what you're giving up and the pain that of the things that you're giving up. And so it leads on to this whole idea of what gives you pleasure, what gives you value, what's painful, what's difficult. But then it's like, okay, but then when should I be doing those difficult and painful things and pushing through them to get to more pleasure? It's like it leads on to so much, and it's such a big topic that it just gets me so excited when we talk about this concept and when we learn about it. So yeah, just I love this article.
And something I want to add on to that is the fact that it brings a value, like you just mentioned, and it's that value, and it doesn't have to be monetary. It can be something, it can be that intrinsic monetary value of what it brings to you, but it can also be the more extrinsic value in the things that are beyond money. The satisfaction that you get, or the knowledge that you get those things that aren't actually tangible but still bring value to you. And so that's important to note when you're looking at opportunity costs.
Oh, for sure, yeah, yeah.
While we're on that same thing, we're saying, oh, well, will this bring me happiness, monetary or not? And then we find out what we don't want. And then when we know what we don't want, that helps us actually take us in the direction of what we do want.
Mm,
I agree.
absolutely. And
There's
so
a
then
nugget.
then the next question I have, and it's kind of for both of you, both for Aaron and Joe. But the next question I have is opportunity cost then of starting your own business, is the opportunity cost specific for each individual, or is there kind of like a general opportunity cost that everybody kind of steps out into?
I would say it's a little bit of both. There is that opportunity cost that is pretty common with every entrepreneur. When you start a business, and you create that startup, you have to give up some of your financial stability. You have to give up some of your extra free time that you would normally have on just having a regular job. You'd have to give up some of your family life, your friend's life. That time that you spend with them, and there's that overall similarities between every entrepreneur, but then there are individual opportunities that everyone gives up, and that's based on what they're actually giving up, and what they're currently at when they decide to take on the choice of being an entrepreneur and going on that venture. And would you like to add to that, Joe?
You pretty much said it all. It is a split. It is a split. And everybody is different also. So it has to almost customize to whatever their lifestyle is. I'm married with kids, you're not. Somebody else may have a grandmother that's sick. I mean, there's a lot of little factors that you have to take into consideration, but the answer is it's a little bit of both to customize it to the person.
And I feel like maybe there's like categories or genres of opportunity cost that people give up. You know, we just spoke about family, finance, security, all of those different things. I feel like most people will, well, everybody will experience all of those different ones, but the level to which they experience them is different depending on their situation.
Yes.
Maybe you think that's more
Yeah,
like a good
that's
explanation
exactly
for that.
right.
Awesome. And and then on the point that Joe just said, actually, as well, is, you know, you were talking about you being older, you're married, you have kids. So would we say that then the opportunity cost is going to, in general, get greater as you get older? And that's something that's very, very relatable to kind of the Gen Zs of why I'm so passionate about why people should be starting businesses now and following their passions, because we don't have those obligations. So is that something you'd say, Aaron, is opportunity cost does just generally increase as you get older anyway?
Yeah, yeah, I have to. You know, Joe can probably speak on it more than myself, but just from looking at it from a logical perspective, you know, as you get older, you start to gain on more responsibilities. You know, people look up to you more. As you said, you get kids, you get a wife. You know, you have a family now. You have a lot more responsibilities and things you have to take ownership and accountability for, and that makes the opportunity cost of going on a venture of your own a little bit greater as you get older. And you know that's probably why a lot of older individuals, when you ask them, you know, what's one thing that you regret, it's, oh, I didn't pursue this passion, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. And most of those things are actions they could have done a lot easier when they didn't have those responsibilities.
Yes. And as time wears on, some of the opportunities do arise at the right time, but a lot of them, the longer you go, they disappear. They disappear. So, good point.
Awesome. So, but then I'd ask you, Joe. You know, you're on that entrepreneur kind of journey and stuff. Would you still, if you had an opportunity of starting a new business now, whatever, would you still do it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, actually we are. So yes. Yes, but you know what? Here it is. It was the right timing. It is the right timing. So in some things there is you missed the boat. It was bad timing, and then others, yes, there is the right timing. And yeah, I'm going to add another chapter to my book, and that book is pretty thick.
I can't wait until it's published. I'll tell you that. And the other question on that, Joe, I was going to ask you is you know, sometimes this opportunity cost associated with like going into a business or whatever it is, you know, the time you have to give up, the money you got to invest or whatever, that can create a lot of fear for someone, particularly a young individual. We're not financially as well off as someone who's been working in corporate for 10, 20 years, you know. Generally, I'll put that on it. So how as you know, for young people, as a message to young people, how do we remove that fear from it and just go for it? You know, with me and Aaron have been on that journey over the past 5 months now of really just going into it and getting into it, and I can say from my perspective, it's been an amazing journey. You know, there's been zero fear once I just started and started working with it. There's been zero fear because you're just doing it. But from your perspective, Joe, what message would you give to us young individuals of just starting it? You're now of an older age and you still don't have that fear. You're like, yeah, I'm starting another business now. You know, there's just zero fear. So how do you do that?
So that it's a great question, and I'm just so excited to be able to answer it because I know I can. So here it is. Being older, we have more risk to actually lose. We have more things to lose. So I'm going to zero back to your question. Now, Gen Z, do it. Do it. What do you have to lose? A bike, a car, some books? You know, there's very little to lose. And oh my gosh, imagine now when you succeed at your level and you make a big win. Oh my gosh, then you have the rest of your life walking with your head tall, knowing that you can conquer things, because it is a mindset and it is confidence within yourself also. And now, if let me say this, if I had a chance to do it again, I would have taken so many more risks when I was at an early age than I do now. I have to be very careful now because there's a lot to lose. Not saying you guys have nothing to lose, but there's not a lot to rebuild. Okay? There's not a lot to rebuild. And there's only time on your side right now to say, "Oh wow, that's not what I wanted, but now I know what I do want." And you can go like hell with it. So to help answer your question, it's a confidence builder. That's how I look at it.
Well, you heard it. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Joe is one of the biggest risk takers I've ever met, and he said he would have taken more risk when he was a kid. So,
And this is being recorded. Uh-oh.
Hey Joe, I have a question
Yes.
for you. Where's your Bible? Because it sounds like you're just reading straight from the Bible right now. You're preaching right now.
I am. I am. Well, you know what? When you pose that question, I'm actually standing up recording this. I'm so excited. So yeah, yes, I'm very passionate on that. And yes, that's true words. Go out and do it now. Make it happen.
excellent. Well, our my
Amen.
final that was brilliant. My final question that we can kind of just chew over is: do we think that opportunity cost is inherently linked with entrepreneurship?
100%. I mean, there's no doubt about it that you have to give up stuff to become an entrepreneur. Again, we've said it. There's categories that everyone faces on what they have to give up when they become an entrepreneur and chase that venture. And there's those commonalities that every entrepreneur does. They're gonna face it at different strengths and levels of that, but we're all gonna face the opportunity cost in the same way, and it's inherent because you're risking something. It's easier to let someone handle the nitty gritty and to handle the paperwork and everything for you that it takes to create a business or to create your job, or you can handle it yourself and learn to handle it yourself and learn how to delegate and how to bring people on that help you with what you're doing. And so it costs, you're giving up your time to learn how to create that, and then in the long run, it's like an investment. You put in 100 hours up front to learn how to do the legal paperwork and how to start your business and all that, for the first 3 months, and in return you get 200 hours worth of real work, because once you learn it, it's a lot easier to implement it and to replicate it, versus you can also just work your 40 hours and keep doing it and not figure out how the back end of everything works and not create it yourself.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, there's something as well as like, so we spoke about a lot about the opportunity cost of starting, right? But the reality is that there's opportunity cost all the time. Like, we've started now, but every day we're taking decisions and stuff which affect that opportunity cost and that balance. So that's definitely something to be aware of. And like Aaron said, that learning the background stuff, learning those systems can give you literally weeks back of work. And it's something that we've, like, to be totally honest with you, like I was very inexperienced with the editing side of things when I first started all of this. I was much slower. It would take me a couple of hours to edit like a longer podcast. Now I can edit one through once in about an hour, and then I can go over and make sure all the levels and all the details and everything and all the fine stuff is really nice, and do it all within an hour and a half, and that's just about doing it again a couple of times, like a good few times. What are we on, like episode 25 now or something? I don't know. So it's doing through 25 times, but it's giving me days back of time, which then I can reinvest into other areas of marketing, different, finding other guests for the show. So I think that's a really key point Aaron just gave away there. And Joe, what do you think on it?
I'm going to tag on with kind of an example of things that cost, but I'm going to tie it into it's a lifestyle. So, Aaron, let's just say you were drafted by the American Football League, right? Okay, so where are you going to go next Saturday? You have to be in Florida. So what's the cost? Oh my gosh, you're so high right now. You go like, I'm going, yay! But you're leaving us behind. You have to catch a plane. You have to stay in a hotel. Sounds really nice. And for the first few years, I bet you it's a real high. But but look at that cost. And no homemade meals. It's eating out. It's back to the hotel room, catch another plane, go to New York, come back from New York, catch, So as glorified as that sounds, there's cost to it. And I think that was the best way I could put that
Yeah,
example.
and in fact, that's what Rio was just saying, and you pretty much gave examples to that. There's an opportunity cost for everything, regardless of whether you're an entrepreneur or not. There's an opportunity cost for every single thing you do. And the best way to put it is, think about it this way. You want to work your 40-hour job and you get, your risk is not much. You have stability, you have your finances in place, you're doing fine. But your actual loss and the opportunity cost there is your entrepreneurship, and in fact is that venture that you're trying to create. So you're actually losing that to choose your stable job. So that's the exact reverse of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So I'm going to just tie something into it. And this is what I've been blessed with is that even though the cost of doing business, entrepreneurship, it becomes a lifestyle. I get little get out of jail free cards. Oh, you're on the road, Joe. It's okay. You missed the birthday party, but we still wish you were there. My surroundings have adapted to my lifestyle, and it does become a lifestyle. And I've taken it for the good. Yes, there is nothing out there that's perfect. Nobody wants to miss a birthday party. Nobody does, but we do. And there's a cost, but it becomes a lifestyle. And thank goodness it's an acceptable lifestyle.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, that kind of wraps things up for this podcast. It was an excellent article, and again,
Yeah,
I
good
can't
job,
convey
Aaron.
how much excitement I had about the topic of this article. But yeah, definitely go and check the article out. Always in the description of whether you're watching us on YouTube or whether you're listening to us here on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or whatever you're listening to us on. Always link in the description of these things. So definitely go and check it out. It's really informative. Tells you a lot more to what we were just talking about. It gives some good context. But yeah, join us again for next week for another chinwag on a topic, and listen to our guest podcast. It's going to be out in 2 days' time on the Friday. But without further ado, we'll finish as we always do.
Cheers for now.
Now.
That was awesome. That was really good.
As always, head over to the Instagram and Facebook at Gen Z Journey, where you can get an inside scoop of what's going on behind the scenes, as well as seeing the exciting guests that are coming on for that week. But above all else, thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate all your participation, and we're excited you're on this journey with us. See you next time.